What if I tell you there's one, not yet explored possibility of Herobrine being something more than just a creepypasta? Just what if the thing I have been pointing at few years ago is real? Today I'd like to take you on a journey, a deep dive if you will, into a promising, possible explanation of Herobrine. In a typical video essay fashion, I'd now explain who Herobrine is, how it all stemmed from a post on some forum, how the Copeland stream made the creepypasta explode in popularity, but there are already videos covering that, and I want to get straight to the point. You've probably heard many hypotheses about Herobrine's existence, ranging from totally absurd, like Herobrine haunting your hard drive, to more reasonable ones, like Herobrine being included in the game at some point, but to this day I haven't heard one that wasn't debunked. Minecraft's source code has been known and analyzed for years, and not a single line of code pointing to Herobrine has been found. But I had this crazy idea. You see, many Herobrine stories included a key detail that sparked a thought in my head: pirated version of the game. Apparently, Herobrine appeared only on unofficial or non-premium installations of Minecraft, and today I want to explore that possibility. But without further ado, for the sake of this video, I've downloaded a popular cracked Minecraft launcher made by AnjoCaido, also known as Minecraft SP. Then I decompiled it, and while browsing through its source code, I found nothing. There was nothing suspicious, and to be honest, I did not expect to find anything extraordinary in a popular launcher downloaded from a first search result on Google, but that's not the point. I want to focus on something else. In this video, I want to show you how easy it is to modify that launcher and use it as a base for either a harmless prank built on a premise of popular creepypasta or something much more sinister. However, to understand that properly, we first need to talk about launchers in general. What they are and what do they do? Well, a launcher in Minecraft terminology is a program that lets you boot up the game easily. You don't need a launcher to play the game, you can do it with a simple batch file, but launchers are much more user-friendly. Additionally, a launcher such as Minecraft SP would automatically download necessary files from Mojang servers, Minecraft.jar, necessary libraries, etc. It would also let you update the game easily, but can you see the problem? The launcher downloads the files. How can you be sure those files are coming from Mojang servers and not some third-party one? To test that theory, I've modified the aforementioned launcher so that it downloads the files from my own server hosted on my computer. Okay, let's stop for a second. More technical players might be wondering, how could nobody notice that? People were installing mods, digging in the game files, surely somebody would notice. But what if I tell you the launcher I've made makes it practically impossible to detect that the game was modified? It didn't touch the game files, yet look at that. I'm able to spawn Herobrine, give myself some items or change the time of day. Before we take a deep dive into mechanics, there may be some confusion. Have I found something? Do I have any proof of such thing happening in the past? Or is it just a conspiracy theory? Well, to be completely frank with you, I had checked few Minecraft SP launchers and I haven't found anything out of the ordinary, but mind you, there are countless re-uploads of that small piece of software. I won't be able to check all of them. My main focus of today is to spread the word and show you a proof of concept that a thing like that might have been a reality. In my eyes, this is the only possibility of Herobrine ever existing, the last glimmer of hope. Going back to the topic, however, let me show you how this modified launcher works. Normally, when you press Enter Game, the launcher first checks whether all the necessary files are on your computer. If not, they are downloaded from the official Mojang server. You may notice I'm mentioning the official Mojang server while talking about a pirated launcher. How is that so? Well, interestingly, anyone could access those files. Type in s3.amazonaws.com/minecraftdownload/minecraft.jar and see for yourself. I recommend you, however, using the web archive, as nowadays this address points to an invalid resource, but back in the days those files were accessible to anyone, so there was no point in pirates hosting their own servers for downloading the game files. Due to official servers not responding as they should, my version of the launcher downloads the files from a local server I host on my computer, but those files are 100% original. However, hidden amongst them there is a malicious payload file containing the modification. In real scenario, only the additional content may have been downloaded from a third-party server, making it even more undercover. After the launcher downloaded necessary files, it is time to patch the game with malicious payload. It's basically like installing the mod back in the days. You open up minecraft.jar, drop in the modified files, and most importantly, delete META-INF directory. The launcher now does exactly the same thing with a small twist, but I will let you ponder on that for a second. Let's see if you figure it out. In the meantime, let's check the files to see any possible discrepancies. The bin folder seems to be intact. There are no additional files. Opening up minecraft.jar, we see nothing out of the ordinary. Most importantly, the META-INF is still there, but to be sure, let's compare entire Minecraft jar against a legitimate version downloaded from Omni Archive. Instead of tediously going file by file, I will use something called a checksum. To put it simply, a checksum is basically like a fingerprint of a file. If files are identical, their checksum is going to be identical too. So let me take a look at the CRC64 checksum. We can see it matches, meaning either the Omni Archive team spiced it up with Herobrine, or more realistically, my Minecraft.jar is untouched. But notice one thing, normally when playing Minecraft you cannot modify, delete or rename the jar. However, in this instance, I'm free to do so, pointing at the fact that this file is in fact not used at all. Okay, if you figured how it works, congrats. If not, let me explain. After setting things up, the launcher copies the minecraft.jar file into a temporary directory far away from .minecraft. The simplest way of getting rid of META-INF is to copy all the internal files from the jar except the META-INF directory. This way the original jar is left untouched. Any changes, for example me retexturing a creeper, carry on to the modified version, making it very hard to spot. I think it's good time for me to stop and explain the whole deal with the META-INF directory. Why is it so important to delete it when modifying the game files? Let's take a look at one of the files stored in META-INF, manifest.mf. This file contains SHA1 checksums for all the game files. For the sake of this video, you don't need to know what SHA1 is, just know that the purpose of it is to reduce the files to a short, manageable string of characters, just like CRC64 that I've used to compare two Minecraft.jar files. Later, when loading the jar, Java runtime environment checks whether the actual checksums of game files match the ones in manifest.mf. If not, an exception will be raised and you'll see the error screen pop up. Now let's get back to the topic. After the Minecraft jar is copied, the payload file is placed in that hidden directory too, and finally the launcher tells Java to load necessary files using the modified, copied version of jar and the payload too. Even if we now open the modified jar, you won't see the modified files, as they are loaded by Java during the runtime. The result of that whole process, you are playing a modded instance of Minecraft without even knowing that. Best part is, it would even work with some mods installed, as long as there are no conflicts. The malicious payload could go a step further. Instead of raw dogging the Herobrine into the game, it could function as a regular mod, using modloader to further eliminate the possibility of incompatibility with user-installed mods. Quite fascinating, isn't it? Okay, but what if there was a conflict? Wouldn't that give it away? Well, for a technical, cautious player, it may set off an alarm, or at least a warning, but most people will just stare at the crash message for a bit and probably try again, just to be sure. The launcher could detect the crash and enter the silent mode. This time, it launches the game in an ordinary fashion. The player, oblivious to the whole situation, remains convinced it was just a bug. Maybe a cosmic particle hit their RAM in a wrong way or something, and the sneaky author of the launcher slips under the radar. I know what some of you may think. This is far-fetched. Why would anyone go through such lengths to scare some children? And just so you understand me, I do not accuse AnjoCaido of any wrongdoings. All I say is they created a launcher that's really easy to reverse engineer, modify and distribute without anyone giving it a second thought. I have zero experience in reverse engineering, yet I was able to decompile and modify its source code with minimal toolkit at my disposal. Also, the modified launcher I've presented to you today is just a proof of concept. In reality, it may have been much more advanced, and the mod itself, instead of adding a wandering Herobrine dummy, it could be a full-fledged player simulation with advanced AI. It could even allow for remote access, basically transforming your single-player world into a multiplayer one. The sky is the limit in this case. I'm well aware it was around 16 years ago, but I see no technical limitations for implementing Herobrine into the game. You may say that back in alpha or beta the mob AI was just not up to the standard, but take into account that to this day, Minecraft uses a modified version of A-star algorithm, which was first published in 1968. There was nothing stopping a skilled programmer from adding it into the game, possibly making it even smarter. Now, let's get back to real talk. How can we prove anything like that ever happening? If the system was at least as clever as mine one, and I assume it would have been more advanced, searching for traces left in Minecraft files on our computers is most likely futile. As I've shown you, the files are not modified, they are stored in a remote location and would probably be purged after finishing the game, just to be safe. So no, I don't expect anyone finding herobrine.png in their minecraft.jar. What about the saves, the worlds that were played on during that time? I think it's dead end too. The Herobrine entity might have not ever been saved to the save file. Info about that could be stored elsewhere or not stored at all. That leaves us with only one way: checking as many Minecraft launcher as it is possible. Of course, the server hosting the additional content are probably long gone, but it should be possible to catch suspicious requests to a different servers by monitoring the network traffic with tools like Wireshark. Here you can see my launcher sending the request to my local server for the payload.jar file. I believe something similar would take place in other launchers that have been tampered with. Believe me, I would love to say that this suspicious Minecraft launcher has been found, but that is not the case. I'm currently in the middle of scraping the web archive, looking for download links from years 2009 to 2013. It's a slow but steady process, so I may suggest subscribing to my channel to be up to date with my investigation. Of course, what I'm doing here is just a drop in the ocean, but maybe one day such file or files will be found. Only time will tell. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope the hypothesis I've presented today won't make me seen as a madman with a tin hat. If this type of content will prove itself even slightly popular, I'm planning on exploring another interesting phenomenon: the chunk glitches from early Minecraft. Maybe I'll be able to recreate the bug that caused the famous very strange house in Minecraft that I did not build, as well as the haunted tower appearing in Polish YouTuber series Minecraft Adventures by JJ Joker. Also, I would love to hear your input. What do you think about that? Is it plausible, or am I just trying to revive the Herobrine myth one last time? You'll be the judge.